beating ceaselessly from the first to the last day of our lives. Quiet, rhythmic, relentless. The heart, an organ that never sleeps. In a single minute, it pumps several liters of blood. In a day, thousands. Over a lifetime, more than 200 million liters. But the heart is more than a pump. It is the metronome of existence, our inner clock. Not only keeping us alive, but also whispering who we are. When we are calm, it beats steadily, like the soft breathing of the earth. When we fall in love, it quickens, skips, and dances. And when we lose someone dear, it hurts, literally. For millennia, people have sensed that the heart is something more than a muscle. The ancient Egyptians believed it was the seat of the soul. In ancient China, it was thought to house consciousness itself. Even today, despite all scientific progress, we still say, "Follow your heart." With all my heart. My heart broke. That's no coincidence, because the heart truly reacts to emotions faster than the brain does. Before you realize you're afraid, it's already beating faster. Before you say, "I love you," it already knows. And before you think at all, it's made its choice: fight, flee, or stay. Inside its tissue are thousands of nerve cells, a kind of miniature brain that works with the one in your head, but can also act on its own. The heart sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. In a way, it governs emotions, rhythm, and mood. It isn't just an organ, it's a communication system, sometimes wiser than reason itself. In this chapter, we'll look inside this extraordinary muscle that has fascinated, inspired, and saved lives for thousands of years. We'll see how the heart truly works, how it feels emotions, how it reacts to love and loss, how it can break from sorrow and come back to life. We'll discover stories of transplants that changed not only bodies, but also souls. And we'll ask whether a heart that never dies, a heart built by human hands, could ever exist. Because maybe, in a world ruled by technology, data, and neurons, it is still the heart that remains our truest center. Not the brain, not the genes, but rhythm. A rhythm that speaks more than we can ever understand. The heart seems simple, a fist-sized muscle hidden in the chest, working non-stop from the moment we are born until the moment we die. But in truth, it is one of nature's most precise and astonishing creations. Every second it contracts and relaxes, creating an electric pulse that ripples through the body like a wave of life. In one day, it beats more than 100,000 times, day after day, year after year, without rest. If any other muscle worked like that, it would fall apart from exhaustion. But the heart? It renews its cells, repairs itself, and keeps perfect time, with a precision no metronome could match. Each beat is not just a mechanical contraction, but a cascade of electrical and chemical microprocesses. Within it lies a conduction system, a miniature network of neurons and fibers that generate electricity. The heart produces its own impulses. It doesn't need the brain to tell it what to do. Remove it from the body, give it oxygen, and it will keep beating, as if it had a will of its own. Embedded in its walls are pacemaker cells, a biological generator ensuring that the rhythm of life never stops. But the heart doesn't act alone. Every second, it sends streams of information to the brain, through nerves, electrical impulses, and hormones. And while we instinctively believe the brain controls the heart, science has revealed something surprising. Most communication actually flows the other way. The heart is a command center of emotion. It reacts first when we feel something, then informs the brain. When you're afraid, your heart races, and your brain interprets it as fear. When you're calm, the rhythm slows, and the body recognizes peace. The heart isn't a passive follower. It's a partner that helps define how we feel. Inside it lies a network of about 40,000 neurons, a tiny nervous system often called the heart's brain. These cells can analyze, remember patterns, and respond independently of the cerebral cortex. That's why emotions can change the rhythm of the heart. And the rhythm of the heart can, in turn, change emotions. When you're in love, your circulatory system behaves differently. blood pressure shifts, and the neurons in your heart send signals filled with dopamine and oxytocin to your brain. When fear strikes, impulses from the heart activate the sympathetic nervous system, releasing adrenaline before you're even aware of it. The heart knows before the mind does. This relationship is so precise that scientists can now read emotions directly from heart rhythms. There's even a concept called heart rate variability, the tiny differences between beats that reveal whether we're stressed, calm, happy, or anxious. People with high heart rate variability handle stress better, recover faster, and experience more emotional balance. The heart is not just a biological engine, but a subtle barometer of the soul. In its rhythm, our experiences are written. Every moment of tension, every surge of joy, every sorrow. When someone endures long-term stress, the heart learns a new rhythm, jagged, erratic. When peace returns, the rhythm softens, finding harmony again. You could say the heart remembers emotions, and we, unknowingly, learn to live in the rhythm it teaches us. It's extraordinary because it shows that life isn't only biology, but music, and our hearts play it endlessly, from the first beat that begins life to the last that ends it. The connection between heart and emotion is woven more deeply than science long believed. For centuries, emotions were thought to arise only in the brain, that neurons and their chemistry dictated when we laugh, cry, or fall in love. But the heart isn't a passive receiver of those signals. It's an active participant, sometimes even the initiator. When we feel, the heart sends electrical and hormonal messages to the brain, which then turns them into thoughts, sensations, and memories. That's why your heart speeds up at the sight of someone you love before you can even think about it. Every emotional state has its own unique electrical pattern, recorded in the rhythm of the heart. Smooth and harmonious in gratitude, chaotic and jagged in fear. Scientists at the HeartMath Institute discovered that this rhythm can even influence brainwaves, synchronizing with them like two instruments playing the same melody. When we're calm, the heart and brain literally resonate. Brain waves become more orderly, and the body works more efficiently. Under stress, harmony breaks down. The rhythm of the heart grows erratic, and the brain reads it as an alarm. The chemistry of emotion is equally fascinating. When the heart speeds up, it triggers signals that activate the adrenal glands, releasing adrenaline and cortisol, the hormones of fight and survival. But when we feel joy or closeness, the heart cooperates with the parasympathetic system, encouraging the release of dopamine and oxytocin, the chemicals of calm, trust, and attachment. That's why a hug can lower blood pressure, and why heartbreak can literally cause chest pain. The same neurotransmitters are used in both brain and heart, showing that emotions don't have a single location. They are spread throughout the entire body. There are also phenomena that blur the line between the heart and emotion even further. People who receive heart transplants sometimes experience what's called cellular memory, sudden changes in taste, mood, or even fragments of memory, as if something of the donor's personality remained imprinted in the heart. Science approaches this cautiously, yet there have been too many such accounts to dismiss them entirely. Besides muscle cells, the heart contains neurons, hormone receptors, and biochemical networks that may store certain patterns of reaction. Perhaps what we call the intuition of the heart isn't just a poetic metaphor, but the echo of a biological memory older than reason itself. It's also worth remembering that the heart doesn't just respond to emotions, it helps shape them. When its rhythm becomes steady, the body reads it as safety, and the brain calms down in response. This mechanism can even be used consciously. Through breathing, meditation, or music, we can synchronize the heart's rhythm with brain waves. In those moments, emotions become clearer, thoughts more ordered, and the body leaves its state of alert. The heart is therefore not only a receiver of feelings, but also their co-creator, a biological resonator that turns emotions into rhythm, and rhythm into emotion, love, fear, anger, joy. Each has not only its chemical and electrical signature, but also a music that the heart plays. And perhaps that's why when something deeply moves us, We say we feel it in the heart, rather than know it in the mind. Because in truth, the heart knows first. There is a condition that doctors literally call broken heart syndrome. Takotsubo, cardiomyopathy. It sounds poetic, but it's very real. When a person experiences extreme emotional stress, the death of a loved one, sudden shock, trauma, the body floods with stress hormones like adrenaline and noradrenaline. The heart reacts to this chemical explosion as if under attack. Blood vessels constrict, rhythm collapses, and the left ventricle takes on a peculiar shape resembling a Japanese pot once used to catch octopuses. Hence the name Takotsubo. The person may feel all the symptoms of a heart attack: chest pain, shortness of breath, weakness. Yet when doctors examine the arteries, they find no blockages. The heart has simply been paralyzed by emotion. What's remarkable is that in most cases, the heart recovers, as if it has to relearn how to trust the world. After a few days, sometimes weeks, its rhythm returns to normal. But the very fact that emotions can literally alter its shape and function shows how profoundly the body and psyche are connected. This isn't a metaphor, it's biology. Some scientists believe this reaction may even be protective, that in moments of overwhelming shock, the heart slows itself down to prevent total collapse. A kind of biological safety switch, though one that hurts more than anything else. Broken heart syndrome appears most often in women, especially over 50, but it can affect anyone, even a young, healthy person after a breakup, an accident, or a loss. Interestingly, a similar phenomenon has been observed in animals. In some species, when one partner dies, the other soon follows. Not from injury, but from emotional shock that literally stops the heart. The biology of love and grief, it seems, is older than humanity itself. Modern medicine is also beginning to recognize what philosophers have long intuited: that emotions are not abstractions, but physical experiences. The heart doesn't merely receive their effects, it responds to them as to real events. Fear, sadness, loss, all of these literally change its rhythm, pressure, shape, and electrical conduction. Some studies even suggest that people with a strong sense of purpose and gratitude have healthier hearts, fewer inflammatory markers, and recover faster from illness. Perhaps that's why our language has preserved so many expressions. Heavy-hearted, broken heart, to hold something in your heart. Though they sound like metaphors, all are rooted in biology. The heart truly feels, not in a romantic sense, but in a physical, chemical, electrical one. When we suffer, it suffers with us. When we love, it changes its rhythm. When we fear, it prepares the body to fight. And when we lose hope, it can quite literally break. That's what makes it so extraordinary. Because the heart is not just an organ. It's a diary of all our emotions, written in a rhythm that can't be faked. The first time humanity dared to touch the boundary between life and death, it held a heart in its hands. The year was 1967. South Africa? Surgeon Christian Barnard did the impossible. He transplanted a human heart from a deceased woman into the chest of a dying man. When the new heart began to beat, the world held its breath. It wasn't just a medical triumph. It was the moment humanity realized that life could be transferred from one body to another. But with that came a deeper question. Could something more than muscle be transplanted? Could memory, emotion, or a fragment of the soul be passed along too? In the years that followed, strange accounts began to surface from transplant patients. Some said they felt different, as if something inside them had changed. Their tastes, habits, even dreams shifted. One woman, after her transplant, suddenly developed a love for music she had once hated. The same music her donor adored. Another man began dreaming of people he had never met, who later turned out to resemble the donor's friends. Some described emotions that didn't seem to belong to them, as if their new heart carried an echo of another life. Science remains cautious about such stories, but the truth is that the heart is far from ordinary. Within its walls lie thousands of neurons and receptors that communicate directly with the brain. It's not just a muscle. It's a biological archive of information about emotion, rhythm, and chemistry. Heart cells can store what's known as somatic memory, response patterns shaped by hormones, stress, and emotional experiences. We also know that the heart and brain communicate through complex electrical and neurochemical systems. So it's possible that some emotional patterns are not stored in thoughts, but in the body's rhythms themselves. From a medical standpoint, a heart transplant is one of the most dramatic operations ever performed. The heart must be stopped, cooled, and then connected to a new body within hours. Surgeons sew vessels, attach the aorta, veins, and atria. When the final sutures are tied, there comes a moment of silence and waiting. If the new heart begins to beat, it's like witnessing birth for the second time. In that moment, the operating room feels almost sacred. The doctors know its physiology, yet each of them feels something beyond science, as if witnessing a miracle. Today, transplants have become routine, but despite technological advances, many patients still describe something medicine can't fully explain: a change in how they feel the world. Some become more emotional, others calmer. Some report sensations of gratitude, sorrow, or longing with no clear source. It doesn't necessarily mean the heart carries consciousness. It may simply be that the donor's heart teaches the recipient's body a new rhythm, one that once belonged to someone else. And yet, there is something deeply human in it all. A heart transplant isn't just a surgical act. It's a meeting of two stories. One heart finishes its journey, another continues it. Within a single chest beats the echo of another life, another love, another set of emotions. And even if it's only biology, it's hard to shake the feeling that the heart remembers, not in words or images, but in rhythm, one that once belonged to someone else, and now grants another person the chance to live on. Since the dawn of civilization, the heart has been the symbol of life, soul, and emotion, long before anyone knew how it truly worked. For the ancient Egyptians, it was the center of consciousness and morality. When a person died, in the ritual of the weighing of the heart, the gods placed it on a scale against the feather of truth. If it was light and free of sin, the soul could pass on. In China, it was believed the heart was the seat of the mind, that thought and feeling were one. In medieval Europe, people said the soul resided in the heart, and its beating was the sound of existence itself. Even the Bible speaks of the heart as the core of being. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. It wasn't until the 17th century that William Harvey discovered that the heart was a pump circulating blood in a closed system. It was one of the greatest milestones in medical history, but also the moment when the heart began to lose its mystical status. Science dissected it, measured it, and described its functions. And yet, even with all that progress, humanity never stopped seeing the heart as something more. In art, literature, and music, it remains the symbol of love, pain, and courage. From ancient poems to modern songs, the heart always takes center stage, not just as an organ that beats, but one that feels. In Western iconography, the heart took on a shape it doesn't actually have. A symmetrical red symbol with a pointed base and soft curves. No one knows exactly where it came from. One theory suggests it was inspired by the seed of the silphium plant, an ancient aphrodisiac. Others believe it was simply an artistic simplification of human anatomy. Whatever its origin, that shape became one of the most universal symbols in history, from medieval manuscripts to modern emojis. Even in science, the heart continues to fascinate. Today, we can build artificial hearts from titanium and silicone, keep a person alive through mechanical rhythm, even grow cardiac tissue from stem cells. Researchers are exploring how emotions influence the heart, and how the heart, in turn, shapes mood and decision-making. Studies of heart coherence show that its rhythm can synchronize with brain waves, creating a state of harmony that reduces stress and enhances focus. In laboratories around the world, scientists are working on a digital heart, a fully simulated organ that will one day allow us to predict diseases and test treatments without risk. And perhaps, in all of this, we're coming full circle, back to the same truth humanity felt long before science could prove it, that the heart is more than a machine. It is life's memory, its rhythm, and its voice. And yet, despite everything we've learned, the heart remains a mystery. We can measure its impulses, see it on an ultrasound screen, even stop it and bring it back to life. And still we don't fully understand why it, and not the brain, became the symbol of love and humanity. Perhaps it's because the heart reacts faster than reason. Before we understand, before we even speak, the heart already knows what we feel. Maybe science and culture aren't opposites at all. Perhaps the heart is one of those rare places where biology meets poetry. An organ and a symbol, a pump and a soul. Imagine a person with no heartbeat, and yet alive, breathing, thinking, feeling. It sounds like science fiction, but it's a documented fact. In 2011, a teenager in Texas suffering from a severe heart condition underwent a surgery that would have seemed impossible just a decade earlier. Doctors removed his failing heart and replaced it with a mechanical device. A rotary pump that circulated blood through his body with no rhythm, no pulse, no heartbeat. The patient had no pulse at all, and yet his body functioned normally. His brain received oxygen, his muscles worked, he could walk, talk, and live. Doctors later described it as a moment when the boundary of life itself had been pushed further. If life no longer depends on a heartbeat, what truly defines it? That experiment was not unique. In experimental medicine labs, scientists are now developing devices that can completely replace the human heart. Artificial pumps capable of sustaining circulation for days, weeks, even months. They don't beat, they don't respond to fear or joy, yet they keep people alive. Patients learn to live in this strange silence, without the rhythm that for millennia symbolized life and emotion. It's a paradox that shows us the heart, though biologically vital, may not be the sole keeper of life, but this technological triumph also raises a deeper, more philosophical question. If life can continue without a heart, is it still the same kind of life? Does the absence of rhythm mean a loss of something essentially human? Or does it reveal a new definition of existence? Many patients say that while their bodies function, their emotional perception feels different, as though the lack of a heartbeat changes how they experience time, emotion, even their sense of being alive. The truth is, the heart is more than a mechanical organ. Its rhythm, its pulse, its beat have defined our idea of life, love, fear, and hope for thousands of years. And when science allows us to live without it, we're forced to confront what it really means to be alive. This is the frontier where medicine, philosophy, and emotion intertwine, and where the heart, even when absent, continues to represent everything most essential to us. The artificial heart is no longer a futuristic dream, but a reality transforming lives around the world. The first attempts to build a mechanical pump that could replace the heart date back to the mid-20th century, when surgeons like Dr. Denton Cooley and Dr. Domingo Liotta experimented with devices that sustained patients dying of heart failure. Those early prototypes were crude, noisy, temporary. But for many, they meant the difference between life and death. Today's artificial hearts are entirely different, crafted from titanium alloys and advanced polymers, driven by microprocessors that adjust blood flow to match breathing, movement, and even emotional response. They don't pulse like natural hearts, yet they can sustain life for months, sometimes years. Some modern devices serve as bridges to transplantation, keeping patients alive until a donor becomes available. Others are now approaching permanence, designed for people whose hearts can no longer function at all. Researchers are also developing biological versions, 3D printed from a patient's own cells, aiming to create living hearts that integrate seamlessly into the body with minimal risk of rejection. What's fascinating is that these mechanical hearts have become more than medical tools. They are laboratories of life. Scientists use them to study how the heart responds to emotion, stress, and effort. Engineers are designing them to respond to nerve and hormonal signals, bringing their rhythm closer to that of a living heart, even when no pulse can be felt. Yet this too raises a philosophical dilemma. A heart that doesn't feel, that doesn't quicken with emotion. Can it sustain not just life, but the essence of being human? The artificial heart shows how far human ingenuity has reached, how science keeps pushing the boundaries of biology and medicine. But it also reminds us of the fragility of our own rhythm, of how extraordinary each heartbeat truly is. In a world where technology can imitate the pulse of life, we are left with one timeless question. What is the heart, really? A pump? A symbol of existence? Or the meeting point between biology and the deepest human truth? The heart and music have been intertwined since the dawn of time. Long before scientists studied blood flow or brainwaves, people felt this connection instinctively. From the beating of drums in ancient rituals to lullabies to modern symphonies, the heartbeat has always echoed through music. Studies show that rhythmic sounds can synchronize the human pulse, calming or energizing it. Fast music accelerates the heartbeat. Slow music brings harmony and peace. It's not just psychology. Sound directly affects the autonomic nervous system, blood pressure, and the release of hormones like dopamine and oxytocin. In cardiac wards, carefully selected playlists are now used to help patients stabilize their rhythm and recover faster after surgery. Even fetuses in the womb respond to sound by the second trimester, suggesting that the bond between heart and music is both innate and biological. Researchers speak of heart coherence, a state in which the heartbeat synchronizes with brain waves, creating harmony that reduces stress and enhances focus. Some experimental musicians even compose pieces tailored to the listener's heartbeat, every note aligned with their biological pulse. Meditation tracks, nature sounds, rhythmic drumming. All these create resonance within the heart, felt as calm, joy, or renewed energy. In truth, music and the heart are not separate. They are two instruments playing the same melody of life, where the biological and emotional rhythms blend into invisible harmony. Music also teaches us something profound. Emotions have their own pulse, and the heart doesn't just react to the world. It creates rhythm we can both feel and hear. That's why for millennia, people have drummed, danced, and sung, because the heartbeat is the natural metronome of life, and music allows it to tell stories of joy, fear, love, and longing. Every heartbeat, in its own way, is a note, resonating through body and soul. The world of animal hearts reveals astonishing contrasts and extremes, showing how evolution has shaped the most ingenious survival strategies. The heart of a hummingbird beats over 1,200 times per minute, a blur of energy that keeps it hovering in midair like a tiny helicopter. Each beat pumps so much blood that the bird's body generates immense heat. It must constantly dissipate it to avoid overheating. In contrast, the blue whale's heart, a massive organ weighing nearly 200 kilograms, slows to only 2 beats per minute during deep dives, conserving oxygen so it can stay underwater for over an hour. Some animals have more than one heart. Octopuses possess 3. 2 pump blood through the gills, while one central heart supplies the rest of the body. Strikingly, that central heart stops beating while the animal swims, conserving energy. Crocodiles, meanwhile, can redirect blood flow, closing certain vessels to send oxygen only to the brain and heart, while the rest of the body slips into a low-energy state, allowing them to remain underwater for extended periods. In these extremes, nature reveals astonishing adaptability. Penguins diving in icy waters slow their heart rate almost by half. Polar bears, during hibernation, drastically reduce their pulse to conserve energy. Some fish can nearly stop blood circulation in freezing temperatures, and hibernating frogs can survive for months with only minimal heart activity. Seals, during deep dives, slow their hearts to just a few beats per minute, channeling blood to vital organs to endure the crushing pressure of the depths. These aren't just curiosities of biology. They are masterpieces of survival. Every animal heart is a lesson in adaptation. The hyperactive pulse of a hummingbird, the majestic stillness of a whale, the triple rhythm of an octopus. Studying them reveals that the heart is not just a pump, but an instrument of precision, flexibility, and genius evolution. Scientists are now drawing inspiration from these hearts. Research on whales and seals helps doctors understand how to protect the human heart from oxygen deprivation. Studies of octopus hearts may one day lead to better artificial circulation systems. Each rhythm, each electrical impulse in nature, offers insight into how life sustains itself under the most extreme conditions. In that sense, animal hearts are mirrors, showing us both the limits and the potential of our own. From the lightning-fast pulse of a hummingbird to the deep, patient rhythm of a whale, every heart tells a story of endurance, adaptation, and balance. Nature's perfect choreography of energy and emotion. Stress, lifestyle, and lack of sleep are the invisible architects of the heart's rhythm, shaping its function in subtle but profound ways. The heart doesn't beat in isolation. It responds to every nerve impulse, every hormone, every emotion that moves through the body. Chronic stress floods the body with adrenaline and cortisol, raising blood pressure, quickening the pulse, and forcing the heart to work in constant overdrive. Over time, that tension changes the way the heart contracts and relaxes. It becomes less flexible, more prone to micro-damage. A fast-paced lifestyle leaves its own marks. People living in constant rush, surrounded by city noise, often show elevated heart rates even at rest. The heart, deprived of rest, behaves like an athlete who never stops training. Stronger at first, but eventually exhausted. Sleep deprivation is another silent enemy. When the body doesn't recover at night, hormones fall out of balance, and the heartbeat becomes erratic. During deep sleep, the heart slows, vessels relax, and stress hormones are broken down. Without that nightly reset, the heart runs on high alert even during calm hours. Stress and sleeplessness also disrupt the heart's electrical rhythm, the subtle signals that coordinate each beat. It's like an orchestra without a conductor. Every instrument still plays, but the harmony is gone. Lifestyle, diet, physical activity, exposure to light and noise, all of these shape the heart's rhythm in subtle yet constant ways. Even the smallest daily habits, like drinking coffee, consuming alcohol too often, skipping walks, or spending most of the day sitting, can alter how it works. The heart becomes a barometer of our lifestyle. It measures not only physical effort, but also emotional balance. When a person ignores its rhythm, never letting it rest, the heart responds with acceleration, tension, and fatigue, signals that may go unnoticed for a long time, but still leave a lasting mark inside the body. In the end, the heart reveals itself not just as a biological pump, but as a mirror of one's way of life. A living instrument that senses stress, exhaustion, sleeplessness, rush, and overload before the mind can even name them. Each day spent under constant strain leaves a trace, not as a dramatic event, but as a subtle distortion in the heart's adaptability and in the harmony that defines health and vitality. A heart attack is that moment when life and biology collide in a crisis that touches millions every year. It isn't an instant shutdown of the pump, but rather the culmination of many small, often invisible changes within the body that lead to a critical point. The heart, which beats billions of times throughout a lifetime, suddenly faces an obstacle, a blocked artery, a patch of muscle deprived of oxygen and nutrients. Deprived of blood, its cells begin to die. The body answers with a chemical storm, stress hormones, inflammatory cytokines, repair molecules, all rushing to contain the damage. But a heart attack doesn't affect only the heart. The entire body reacts. The brain registers pain and panic, triggering the autonomic nervous system. Blood pressure rises, pulse races, and adrenaline floods the bloodstream, preparing for the primal fight or flight response. Though in this case, there is no escape. The heart becomes both the source of life and the epicenter of crisis, sending ripples of chaos through the entire organism. Not every heartbeat during a heart attack is the same. Scientists observe that in oxygen-starved regions, the rhythm turns erratic. Arrhythmias emerge, electrical signals lose coordination, and the heart beats out of sync, as if fighting against itself. It's a moment when the heart reveals both its fragility and resilience, a biological masterpiece under siege. The history of treating heart attacks shows how medicine has steadily pushed the boundaries of life. From an era when rest and prayer were the only therapies to today's rapid interventions, angioplasty, stents, and clot-dissolving drugs that can restore blood flow within minutes. Every hour of delay changes the odds of survival and the extent of lasting damage. Modern diagnostics and biomarkers allow doctors to detect an impending attack even before the first chest pain appears. while real-time rhythm monitoring has become a vital tool in prevention and life-saving response. A heart attack is also a warning written in biology, a mirror of how stress, sleep, diet, physical activity, and emotional strain accumulate over years. It's not born in an instant, but grows out of micro-failures in the heart's flexibility, vessel strength, and rhythm. The heart, despite its endurance, remains deeply sensitive to the world we create around it, as if everyday's choices leave invisible fingerprints in its beat, which one day might tip the balance between life and death. Ultimately, a heart attack is more than a medical event. It's a dialogue between heart, body, and mind. In that single moment, every emotion, every hormone, and every rhythm of a lifetime converge inside one chest. And even through pain and chaos, the heart continues to fight, to keep life anchored within the fragile balance of biology and being. It reminds us that the heart is not only a machine, but a witness to our decisions, our emotions, and the tempo of our lives. In every pulse, there is a story of endurance, science, and the profound vulnerability that defines what it means to be alive.